It was an early afternoon in the Crystal Empire. Flash was out for a walk in town ever since he has been had a day off from his duty as the road guard. As he was just walking around, he greeted some ponies when he suddenly walked into some pony by accident. He was just walking around and didn't even notice until it happened. I'm so sorry, I didn't see what was I was walking. Oh, it is fine. No, not hurt down though. Flash? Is that really you? Said Amir, looking at him. And he immediately looked at the smear bag and saw it was a Pegasi. Jade Spark? Is that really you? I, I can't believe it. What are you doing here? You see for a visit, but what are you doing here? I thought you were in a, I thought you were a road guard back in Canterlot. Jade Spark was an old friend of Flash. They both grew up together in Canterlot. But ever since Flash was transferred from the road guard in Canterlot to Crystal Empire, they had even seen each other for a while, and he was really surprised to see his old friend in Canterlot, in Crystal Empire. Um, so you don't know? Know what? Um, I was actually transferred here a while back. Really? Yeah. So you're serving the new Crystal Empire's royal family? That I do. Oh. Um. I mean, I didn't expect that though. Um. Yeah. I mean, well, it's not scary though. How you been? Oh, the usual. Busy with my work. Oh. Oh, you're. Wait. You actually opened your bakery that you really dreamed of? Uh huh. That I did. Um, do you have any time, maybe? Yeah. Why? How about we go somewhere and get something to eat? Just to you get up and speed up what we have been up to. Yeah, I would like that. So they went to this small diner not far from where they were standing, and they were just small talking. It had turns out that Jade Spark actually had fulfilled her childhood dream to open her own bakery in Canada. So you actually open it. And how's business going for you so far? It actually has been well for me. I mean, I recently hired two more ponies to help me around. So, what brings you here to the Crystal Empire, though? I mean, I don't know if you have any relatives or any friends who live here. No, I don't. I mean, except for you, though. Yeah, except for me. No, I'm just here for this small vacation for a couple of days. You know. I mean, I always want to go see this Crystal Empire, but after being busy with my work as much as after I hired some new helpers, and it gave me some time to get to see the place. Yeah, if you want, I can show you around since I'm actually have a day off today. Oh, yeah, that would be nice. So, yeah, I can do that. But we can leave here for right after been eating here. Yeah. So after they have been eating, they actually left the small diner and walked around, and he showed her different places. And while they were walking, so Jade Spark has have you found any special sound pony back home yet? Actually, kinda yes. Oh, well, he isn't living in Cantonot per se. Oh, where does he live? He lives in Baltimore. Oh, is it a long distance? Yeah, it is. And we have been together for about 4 years, and it's actually going well between us. I'm really surprised that you actually found someone. Oh, I mean, you used to be quite shy back when we were younger, and you were actually shy, and she was very much not very outgoing, even such feeling. But it took her a while to get to use it. Yeah, I mean, it took some time. So, how did you meet this stallion by any chance? Oh, surprising enough, he was actually introduced to me by another friend of mine. Oh, yeah. It took me, well, maybe a couple of months before to see what's actually working between us. I'm glad to hear that though. But while she was telling that to him, Flash felt a bit hurt in his heart. The true fact is that Flash has been in love with Jade Spark ever since he left Canton. He was actually going to tell her the same day when he was informed that he's gonna be transferred to Crystal Empire. So he had to spend the whole day packing, and the very next day he went off to Crystal Empire. And he lost touch with her over time, and he had almost forgot about her. So you and this stallion are have any plans for the future? We have talked about getting married, have a family together. Oh, yeah, but so far I don't know if he could be the one, but I really hope so. I'm glad to hear that though. So they spend the rest of the day together, and the next couple of days, when after that Flash was finished his duties. But after a couple of days, Jade Spark's time in the Crystal Empire was over, and she went back to Canton. And after a couple of weeks, Flash had almost forgotten about his time with Jade Spark when he actually decided to go see her back in Canton. After all, he also wanted to see some other old friends who lives there. And since he had a lot of saved up vacation time, he asked Shining Armor for a granted permission leave, and he was granted. So he took the first train back to Canton. When he got there, first he was walked up to meet up some old friends, but after that he decided to see Jade Spark, and he knew what her cafe or her bakery was located. After all, she told him that when she was in Crystal Empire. So he went there. But when he walked in, she wasn't even there. So he asked one of the other workers if Jade Spark was in or if she was out for a moment. They told him that she's not even in town at the bakery at the moment because had decided to stay home for a couple of days. He was a little surprised and asked if something wrong. The workers was not really hesitating to even to reveal this, but he explained that he's an old friend of hers and that he actually met up with her when she went in the Crystal Empire about a couple of weeks ago. And since they knew that she were in Crystal Empire and that they had in fact been told that she ran into an old friend, so they told him that the reason why she was not even at this bakery at the time or for the next couple of days is because she had just found out that her boyfriend actually had been cheating on her for almost a year with another mayor, which he had been falling in love with. And he just dumped her because he couldn't even stand anymore the long distance relationship and that he decided to be with this other mayor who also was from, in fact, Baltimore. And she took it so hard and she decided to stay at home from work for a couple of days, and she had a hope that her assistants and the co-workers of hers can actually take care of this bakery in the meantime, which they did. And since he didn't know where she was living at the time, he asked if it was possible for him to let him know. And one of her assistants actually told him the address, and he thanked them and went to see her. When he was standing by the door, he was thinking of what to say to her. But he knocked on the door and she opened, almost like cryingly. She had been crying. Flash, what are you doing here? Oh, hey, Jade Spark. I actually came back to Canterlot to see some old friends since I had some time to do that, and I wanted just to surprise you when one of your workers told me what happened. I'm so sorry. I assuming that this was a very, very stable good relationship. Yeah, fast to do. If if there's any convenience, may I come in? But I understand if you prefer to be alone. Yeah, you can come in. So he walked in and he actually sat down on the couch and she sat on the opposite from him and she told him a little more detail what happened. Turns out that her boyfriend actually came back to Canterlot to see her a couple of days after that she returned. She actually was very excited. But when he had told her that he had some news for her, she first expected maybe that he had plans to move to Canterlot. Because during the earlier of those whenever they had been together just for 2 to 3 years, they were actually talking about if she or he would move to the closer. But when he told her the bad news, she was heartbroken. She was furious, but it's sad what happened. So she told them she was to leave her apartment to never come back or never talk to him or talk to her because this was the worst and the lowest any pony can have done, especially towards her. And he didn't say a word and just left. Wow, I can't believe what that did to you. I mean, how can anyone be so heartless, cruel to someone like you? I mean, you were really a very sweet person, a very sweet pony. I mean, always have been open about your true heart and your attentions and all that. If it was me, I would not have been doing that. Thanks, Flash. I appreciate it. Then she offered him some tea, which he accepted. But as he was sitting there, Flash remembers about his own feelings for Jade Spark, but they had even faded away over time though, and he decided to tell her. When he did confess about his true feelings towards Jade Spark, she was stunned. She asked him if he was actually serious, and he said yes. He had actually been lovers for her so long that, but since they had lost touch over time, he almost forgot about it until now. He was just understanding that if she would prefer to just be alone for some time, and he wouldn't even bother her to ask her out or anything. But Jade Spark was actually stunned still. But when Flash told her that he would probably would be best that he leaves her alone for a while. Before she could say anything, he actually left her apartment. She was very confused what just happened. He just had literally confessed of his deepest feelings towards her. But after 2 days, she went to this hotel where Flash was staying at, and she told him that for the past 2 days, ever since he came back, she had been thinking about what just happened and realized that she actually had feelings towards Flash, but it took her some time to realize it till now. And she actually said that she would like to go out with him if he would like to. And he said actually yes on that. So they decided to go out to a small restaurant in that same evening, and they actually did. Because they wanted to see if there's actually any spark between them. And even when they were at the restaurant, there were no silence between them. They had no problems to talk about things. They even talked about old childhood memories and even talk about other things. And he even followed her back to her apartment just to make sure that she came home safe. But even after that day, Flash felt very excited, at least happy, that he had fulfilled his dream to be confessing towards Jade Spark. But even there were a chance that they might not even end up as a serious relationship. But that was something he would like fine with. He would have been okay if they just remained as friends if she wanted. He just happy that he actually confessed. But when he didn't know that they actually started to see each other a bit more often. And since he was going to stay in Canada for about a week, they actually had a good time. They went often on dates, either to a restaurant or have a picnic or even to the movies or even had dinner at her place. But after about a week had just passed, it was time for Flash to go back to to Crystal Empire. But they promised to had remain in contact by letters, and he would see her as often as soon as he could again. And after almost a couple of weeks after this, they still have remained in touch by letters. But it wasn't one of the things that they didn't expect it to happen. They actually were so deeply in love with each other, so they decided to be in a relationship. And this was something that Flash would never regret to happen, because his love for, for Jade Spark was the best, absolute the best option that he had. And over time, they started to see each other a little bit more often since Flash actually had been thinking of being transferred back to Canterlot or quit the roller guard. But when he told that to Jade Spark, she was very much not. She didn't want to be happy if she just quit his dream occupation that he once had been dreamt about. But when he asked Shining Armor and Cadence a couple after they had been after he and Jay Spark had been dating for almost 4 months, he was willing to move being transferred back to Canada so that he can be closer to his girlfriend. Even at first, Shining Armor said that he would need some time to think about it. But after only about a day, he actually gave Flash a document showing him that he is now officially going to be transferred back to Canton. But he said if things were needed, he will always going to be transferred back here if he wanted to. And Flash said thanks, and he packed his bag and went back to Canton. He had already informed Jade Spark, who was very excited. Ever since he was transferred back, though, he was able to see more of Jade Spark. And times when he had a day off, he actually went to the bakery and actually helped around. And she didn't mind it. But after they had been dating for about almost 3 years, Flash actually took with Jade Spark to this small diner, or this small restaurant, on their 3rd-year anniversary. He actually proposed to her. She said yes immediately. She couldn't have been happier because she loves Flash more than anything. But they decided to have a small, close wedding with close friends and family, just because they didn't have the form for the big wedding. But even so, a lot of the details I was really happy for them both. Flash had asked Shining Armor to be his best man, which he accepted. And Jade Spark had actually asked one of her friends, who she was close to be her bridesmaid, which she said yes. And after the wedding ceremony was over, they actually had a small party and or a small reception and actually good time with dancing, a lot of good food, and both families could actually see how happy they were together. And even afterwards, they wished that they could have gone to a big honeymoon. But the big surprise to both Jade Spark and Flash, Shining Armor and Cadence actually had arranged a secret honeymoon field trip for both Jade Spark and Flash. They went to Saudi Arabia for 2 whole weeks, and they had a great time. Just exploring the new culture, trying the new food, all kinds of things. And after that, both were just happy to be able to have fulfilled and had entered a new chapter in their lives together. This was something that both of them had more than anything had could have been couldn't have asked for anything better, especially to be married with the one they loved the most of all. And just barely 2 years after they had been married, both Flash Sentry and Jade Spark actually made a big announcement to both families and their friends. They were expecting a foal in the next couple of months. And they actually had a boy which they named Flash Spark. Flash Spark was like his father, fast, brave, and he was really outgoing as a filly, or as a colt. But there was a lot of things otherwise. Because Jade, Spark, and Flash were just happy to have a son. It was Jade actually realized if she had never been if she had never had told Flash about her breakup all those years ago, Flash may not have even had arrived to Canterlot, and they may not have even started dating at all. And for that, she is really grateful to herself that she did. And for that, she even regretted that for a single day. And Flash, he doesn't even regret it at all that he went to Canterlot just to see his old friend, to try to cheer her up after what happened. But he doesn't even regret, even when he actually confessed his true feelings towards Jade Spark. And for that, he feels really, really happy because none of this wouldn't have been possible if they haven't really went, if they haven't really that happened. But one other thing that Flash also really feels happy about, if he had never even had run into to Jade Spark back in Crystal Empire, none of this would even have happened otherwise. And he just feels happy that Flash and Jade Spark did end up meeting again after all this time. And he just feels very, very excited. Even Jade Spark could have been happier that she ran into Flash in Crystal Empire by random accident like that. Especially when how he came back to Canterlot and when he reached out to her, tried to cheer her up, and even he said to her, "You know, sweet Jade Spark, I had never regretted a single day when I came back to see you again. Ever since then, I had been the most happiest stallion in the whole equestrian. And for that, I've never been regretted." She smiled and said that she had the same feeling, and she said the same thing. And for that, they would not have regretted this for a single day. Not only that because they have a sweet young boy together, but their true, deeply love and this unbreakable bond between each other. And this is how Jade Spark and Flash Sentry found their true love got found together. The end.